Viewer, beware. You're in for a scare. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's edition of Throwback Thursday, I'm going to be showing you guys my Goosebumps book collection. So the Goosebumps series was written by R.L. Stine, and R.L. Stine is like the Stephen King of kids' horror books. So Goosebumps is a children's book series, and I used to read all the time when I was younger. It was like a classic 90s staple, you know what I mean? In school, I didn't like to read the typical children's, novels or books, or picture books that they used to give me, or that they used to like tell me to read. I didn't really like to read those. I thought they were really boring. So what I did instead for my reading time is that I began to read horror. I began to get interested in that kind of stuff. My favorite book genres were mystery, horror, sci-fi, and I really liked a lot of folklore. I was like, when I was younger, I was interested in a lot of like ghost stories and paranormal, and also a lot of like urban legends. So I remember when I was younger, I used to read, I think before Goosebumps, I read Scary Tales to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. I read those books because they were really scary, and they had like really creepy pictures too. And also I used to read also mysteries, like Cam Jansen. If you guys remember, in your childhood, do you remember reading the Cam Jansen book series? And I also read The Bailey School Kids. It was about like a group of kids that were trying to like solve mysteries about things that didn't appear to be what they seemed to be. So yeah, and I also read a series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. And I read Animorphs, if you guys remember that. 90s kids out there, if you remember Animorphs. I read those books too. And of course I also read the Harry Potter books. But on top of my head, I could probably say that my favorite book series in the entire world is Goosebumps. And the reason why I like Goosebumps is because it influenced me a lot when I was younger, because I wanted to be a writer when I was younger. So when I read these books, I wrote a lot of like scary stories, like some of my own original stories. I don't even know what happened to those stories. I think I threw them out or something. But I think I got a lot of compliments from people, and a lot of compliments from my teachers that where do you get all of these stories from or whatever. I was influenced a lot by R.L. Stine's Goosebumps, and afterwards I began to read Stephen King, which is for adults, right? But when I was younger, my favorite book series was definitely Goosebumps. And the thing that I love the most about Goosebumps, about the entire book series, is the fact that the stories are really like they're really gross and weird, and they're always about different things like monsters and like vampires and ghosts and really creepy things that happen to the protagonists of these tales. Like some of these kids are like I think they're like teenagers or preteens or something like that, and they have to go through these really creepy paranormal things, and they have to like help stop the villain from doing something. And sometimes the endings to these books are not happy. Sometimes they're uncertain. Sometimes there's a twist ending at the end, and sometimes the narrator of the story, which is one of the kids, turns out to be unreliable, and it's like a completely different surprise ending. So that's what I liked about these books, is that the endings were not really happy. Sometimes they ended up on a cliffhanger too. So I know I liked scary things. I liked reading these things. So R.L. Stine began publishing the Goosebumps series back in 1992, and there were 62 books released from the original. And in my Goosebumps collection, I don't have the entire original 62 books because I think these that you see right here are the only ones that I bought at my school book fair. I really couldn't get the rest of the original, but I've read some of the original 62 at my local library. This was before, ebooks came out. We had to go to the library and we had to read. That was back in the old days, right? So whenever I wanted to read a Goosebumps book, I would just go into my school library or go to my local library, and I would check these books out and read them, of course. And the really rare ones that I never read before, are really hard to get, I would check them out in my library. So that was my entire childhood. I was just reading all of these books, and I really didn't get scared at any of them. They were really entertaining for me. So enough of my rambling. Now I'm going to show you guys my Goosebumps book collection. And first up, I have the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. You can see here. And this is not the original print of the book. This is actually like a revised version. I think it's from the early 2000s. It's not from the 90s. But anyway, this is one of my favorite books from the Goosebumps series. And I really like this book. Especially the story, because it's about this kid and he's got this really annoying sister, and he has like this grandfather clock that has like a spell or something that transports him back in time. I think this book was also turned into an episode for the Goosebumps TV series. If you guys remember the Goosebumps TV series that was aired by Fox Kids back in the 90s, I think from 1995 to 1998. So I think I remember watching snippets of that show when I was younger. And here I have Egg Monsters from Mars. Really creepy alien thing here. It's not one of my favorite books, but it's about these aliens. And I have Ghost Camp here. My favorite parts of reading any Goosebumps books was looking at the covers. The covers were really interesting. This is about summer camp. And then we have The Horror at Camp Jelly Jam. This was a really disgusting story. It's just really gory. And I think the monster, the way that he describes the monster in this book is ugh, it's so disgusting. It's like a blob or something. Makes me not want to go to summer camp. I've never been to summer camp, and I wouldn't want to go to Camp Jelly Jam. And now, this one is called Say Cheese and Die. This one is a classic one. I think I owned the original one that was like with the red cover from the 90s. I don't know what happened to it. I think I threw it away or something. Because it was in such horrible condition. I think it was ripped. So one picture is worth 1,000 screams. This one is about a camera. And when I was a kid, I used to be really scared of this picture. I asked myself, why are a bunch of skeletons making barbecue? So this camera takes pictures of the future or something like that. This one is called The Barking Ghost. Really creepy dog. And this one is a shocker on Shock Street. It's like a giant ant. Praying mantis thing. This one's about the movies turning into reality. Creepy. So the ones that I showed you were the ones that I got from my book fair, like a long time ago, when I was in elementary school. And now this big one that you see here is 30 Tales to Give You Goosebumps. I bought this at a Barnes & Noble's. And this is actually an anthology. It's got a lot of like short stories, not from the original ones, but these were just like little short stories. This is one of my favorite Goosebumps anthology series. And I'll tell you what my favorite tales are. There are a lot of really good stories in this book, like Strained Peas, for example, and some of these stories in this anthology here was turned into an episode in the TV series. If you guys remember the 90s TV series of Goosebumps? That Strained Peas about this kid, and he's really unenthusiastic about getting his sister because his mom is going to have a baby, and it turns out to be this really annoying little bratty sister of his, and she's almost demonic because she makes his life impossible. She's like a demon baby. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the story because it has a twist at the end. So, yeah. Okay. I think I was planning for Halloween that I was going to make, I was actually going to read a story from this anthology for Halloween. That's one of my future videos. So if you guys are interested in that, I will be doing that on Halloween. I'll be reading some of these stories out loud for you guys. So there's another story here that's really good. Oh, here it is. This is a little bookmark of mine that I made back in elementary school. So that's the story that I'm talking about, Mr. Teddy. This is about a jealous teddy bear. He's jealous because his owner bought another teddy bear, and he wants to be the only teddy bear in his owner's life. So he gets really jealous. This is a really good one. And of course, Click. If you guys remember the episode of Click, this is where it's from. Because it was turned to a TV episode too. So this is Click. It's about a remote control that stops time and everything. But of course, like everything, everything has its pros and cons, and the remote control does a lot of, damage to this guy's life, because even though it's invincible and it could freeze frame and it could do anything, it could stop time and whatever, it actually has its defects. Oops. There's another story here called, oh, here it is. A Vampire in the Neighborhood. Now this is one of the stories that has an unreliable narrator. And it's about these kids that try to find, these kids in the neighborhood that are trying to find like a vampire or something, and they try to figure out who the vampire is, and they're gonna hunt them down. And then at the end of the story there's like a twist, because it turns out that one of the kids is a vampire. And they didn't even know that, so creepy. I think R.L. Stine also made another, I think he made another one of these tales, but I never read it, so this was the only one that I own. Something fishy. No, there's another one that, you gotta believe me, no. There's another one, I think it was about a snake or something. Let me flip through this, because there is another one about a snake, about a teacher that turned into a snake or something. My mind is fuzzy, because it's been a while since I've read this. Like, if you guys can tell me, if you guys own this anthology, you guys can tell me the name of the story about the teacher that that turns into a snake. I think it was turned to a TV episode too. So if you guys can tell me that, that'd be great, because I don't have time to flip through the book. But okay, now this one here, The Chalk Closet, is also a very good story. It's really effed up. It's about these kids that have really crappy grades, and then one day I think this teacher comes in, and if they fail the class or something, you get locked up in some kind of chalk closet. It's really scary. And there's one that that is one of my favorite tales, and it got turned into a TV series too. And that one is called, let's see, Perfect School. That's the one. It's called The Perfect School. And it's about this kid, and he has to go to this boarding school during the summer. And the reason why his parents sent him to the school is so that they could turn him into this perfect obedient student, because at home he does everything wrong, and I guess he's not perfect, right? He doesn't do anything right. And he goes to this school so they can mold him into an obedient human. And it turns out that the school actually does this flippy, this switch. They actually have the real versions of the students locked up, and they bring home to their houses the robot versions of them. So it's like really effed up. And the kid actually succeeds in getting out of that school, and at home he pretends to be a robot or something. So that the parents won't suspect anything, right? That he actually, switched his robot or something like that. So he actually pretends to be a robot so that he could go about as if he actually, went through that. He went through the boarding school, and he turned himself into a perfect person, which is impossible, of course. But to be replaced with a robot really sucks. So that's 30 Tales to give you goosebumps. So now I'm going to mention some of my favorite stories that I don't have with me, that are not part of my collection, but I read these at my own leisure when I was in school, and also when I checked out books at the library. So these are some honorable mentions. The Girl Who Cried Monster. This was also turned into a TV episode too, and it's about this girl that suspects that her librarian is a monster because she actually sees him transforming before her very eyes. When she actually goes to the library late at night, and she actually sees this happen before her eyes, but her parents don't believe her. Nobody believes her. So that's The Girl Who Cried Monster. And the other one that I liked is Be Careful What You Wish For. This is about a kid that goes to this gypsy or something, and she asks her for a wish. She wants to become like, I think she wants to become popular or something. She asks for like really selfish wishes. She asks for three things, and they all come true, but they have their consequences. So you should be careful what you wish for, because it might come true, but it might not be what you want. So there's this other one called Don't Go to Sleep, and that one was also turned to a TV episode. This one was about some kid that I think he goes to sleep or something, and it's been a long time, so I'm not going to 100% accurately remember what these stories were about, because it's been a very long time since I read a Goosebumps books. But Don't Go to Sleep is about this kid that doesn't want to go to sleep because he gets transported into a different dimension or something. He has some really wacky effed up dreams. Yeah. So the other one that I liked is The Curse of Camp Cold Lake, about this girl that goes to summer camp, and there's this ghost of a girl that's haunting her or something. And then we have The Haunted School, about this school that has a little secret, and The Haunted Mask, which is a classic one. If you guys remember the name of the girl, Carly Beth. She buys this mask, and then this mask turns out to have a lot of problems. Gives her a lot of problems during Halloween. And it also got turned into a TV episode too. There was also a sequel to this one. It was called The Haunted Mask 2, but it wasn't as good as The Haunted Mask. So, and Night of the Living Dummy. One of the most iconic characters of the Goosebumps series is Slappy. Slappy the puppet. He's from the Night of the Living Dummy series. Slappy is the puppet that has the green eyes and he has the freckles and stuff. Actually, somebody, when I was in elementary school, somebody dared me to go buy him online or something. It's like, they said, oh, why don't you go buy Slappy or something? And I was like, I'm not gonna buy that ugly dummy because he reminded me of Chucky. So they're similar because they're like these creepy evil dolls, right? I'm not gonna buy that puppet. No way. He's creepy as hell. And there's this one called Chicken Chicken about a spell that turns kids into chickens. And this one from the Goosebumps 2000 series. This is not from the original 62. This is the one that came out in the year 2000. It's called Cry of the Cat. I read this one at the library or something. It's about this cat that haunts this girl or something, and she actually the cat wants to take her life or something, or her soul or something. This was also turned into a TV episode too. And there's this another one called Go Eat Worms. That was also turned into a TV episode. And I read that book, but I read the special edition of that one. I didn't read the original one, but I read the one that had like I think it had stills from the TV show. If you guys remember reading those editions, the editions of the Goosebumps books with the TV stills, then you guys know what I'm talking about. So I read that one, Go Eat Worms, about this girl. It's actually this kid that has his little sister, annoying little sister. And one day she tells him to go eat worms or something, and he actually eats it or something. I don't know. So I've read a lot of Goosebumps books during my life, and I stopped reading them when I was in middle school. I didn't get a chance to read the other stories that came afterwards. I don't know. I didn't read the other 30 Tales to Give You Goosebumps. I didn't read the Goosebumps 2000 series. I only read Cry of the Cat. That's all. I didn't read the other ones. I've also read some of R.L. Stine's other stuff. I think I've read his Fear Street series. I read the one about the grandma. That was really scary. About this kid that gets sick in bed, and then this grandma comes along, and she gives him like the most torturous, way of curing himself because he has the flu, right? And she has this really effed up technique of curing him. That was really scary. So I haven't watched the TV series in its entirety. The reason for that is because this, I think I didn't have access to Fox when I was a kid, or I just didn't really watch it a lot. I remember snippets of it in my mind. But I knew that there was a TV series because I did see a couple of episodes when I was younger. I think the series only lasted from 1995 to 1998. And recent times, I think it was 3 years ago, that a Goosebumps movie was released for the very first time. I've never ever watched that film, so I have no idea. If you guys can tell me, for those of you who've read the Goosebumps series and who know the entire Goosebumps series, if you guys know, have you actually seen this film? And if you have, please tell me how it is, and if you recommend it to me, because I've never seen this movie at all. I've seen the TV series, but I've never seen this new Goosebumps movie. So I have no idea how it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this 90s Throwback Thursday edition of my Goosebumps collection video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please comment, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me, and also hit the notification bell so you can be alerted when I post new videos. And thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!